This is Kush, a chef who has worked in some of the best restaurants in the UK.
Oh!
And today, he's going to take us to 3 that he thinks produce the best steaks in London.
Pure perfection.
Amazing.
And you and I are going to tag along and find out why.
This has been the best day of my life. For our first stop, we are in London's glistening Piccadilly Circus, the connection between the famous West End and the incredibly posh Mayfair. And where are we going to eat?
We're going to eat here at the Devon Shire for some fantastic dry-aged British beef and a pint of Guinness.
Now I've had the Guinness here a few times, but I've never managed to eat the steak before. What are we looking for?
We're looking for big beef chop, charcoal, wood ember grill.
Let's do it!
The Devonshire is world famous for its Guinness, selling over 20,000 pints each week. In fact, it holds the Guinness World Record
Slancher.
for selling Guinness.
I massively missed it.
I went under.
Now the Guinness here is legendary because they brought the taps, the lines, the staff, everything over from Dublin, where Guinness is made, to London, and you get an incredible pint. But we're not here for the Guinness, we're here for the steak. And that is supposed to be just as good.
I wanted you to try what's reputed to be the best dry-aged British beef in the country. But not only that, they butcher it in-house and dry-age it in-house.
George Donnelly is the Devonshire's own award-winning in-house butcher. Previously of well-renowned Australian butchers in Sydney, Victor Churchill.
So Jay, the furnace, so they burn oak here to create the embers. We've been told by Jamie, the head chef, that they get about 25 minutes of burn time off the embers. Then they re-shovel, re-fire the furnace. So they're literally making their own fuel on site. And it's cooking my arm.
Schlanter.
So George downstairs told us they do 100 kilos of home-cured bacon a week. So we have to try the scallop bacon and malt vinegar as a starter. And then I think a beef chop on the bone.
We're getting starters.
We'll have a starter.
A starter.
I'm gonna go green sauce. What sauce do you want?
My go-to is usually Béarnaise.
Too fatty for me.
Really?
Yeah, right, let's order.
The steaks are seasoned heavily with flaky, coarse sea salt and then cooked over oak embers on their custom-built grill. They're then slowly allowed to come up to temperature, lightly brushed with aged beef fat from the butchery before being carved.
Wow,
Wow.
thank you.
Come on, Jay.
So what should we be expecting?
The epitome of beef. So, want a nice crust, obviously. Medium rare, obviously. You'd assume they know how to cook beef here. We're looking for a grassy flavour, because it's grass-fed and finished. It's dry-aged, so you want a little bit of funk, but not too much. It hasn't been basted in anything other than dry-aged beef fat and butter. No herbs, no garlic, because we've got all the flavour in the sauces. So I think beef through and through, and pure British.
So this should be pure steak perfection.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now you said grassy before we tasted it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I really knew what you meant. But actually, and whether it's because you put it in my head or not, I don't know. But I can taste like I'm in a field.
Yeah, so it's not hyper fatty.
No.
Good marbling, but you're tasting what beef should taste like. It's juicy, it's tender, it's well cooked. It has a little chew to it because it's a ribeye, it's not a fillet, but you're tasting beef. It's not just a mouthful of fat that you might get with a grain-fed steak or a cheap Wagyu. I think it's delicious.
But also, as an experience, I'm smelling the steak cooking. So I'm getting the wood, the charcoal, the smoke smells that are coming in at the same time that I'm eating it. It just adds to the whole experience.
Well, you saw this steak getting cut downstairs. It's now been cooked by the head chef over the wood embers that they've made themselves, and now we're eating it. I don't think there's a better steak experience. The green sauce just cuts through that richness, and the herbaceous green sauce really pairs well, I think, with the grassy note of the beef.
Honestly, when I think of steak, when I dream of steak, this is what is in my mind.
Eating it with me.
Yeah, absolutely. That is great. Mate, this is just the start of your recommendations. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's the best of British. So next we're going to Italy for some Persona beef.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
Next up, we've walked literally 2 minutes up Shaftesbury Avenue, which means that we're in the heart of London's West End. We've got Theatreland, we've got Chinatown. This is a real touristy area. Are we going to find great steak?
Hopefully we'll find a rare Ebbers in the wild. He loves theatre, but also some Persona beef at Macellaio Roberto Costa, an Italian steakhouse.
Do you hear the people sing? Singing the songs of angry men? It's Les Mis, so...
Macellaio simply means butcher, and they source all of their steaks from the mountainous valleys north of Genoa. And I could not wait to try it.
Wouldn't be a video in London if it wasn't raining.
I think there's some hail. So we're here to try the Persona beef. It's from the cattle of the Piedmont region in northern Italy. Very different muscle structure, very lean, but celebrated for the fact that it's tender, like a buttery biscuit base. So we've got a light starter before the beef.
Beef 2 other ways.
Yeah, we've got beef with bone marrow, and then we've got battuta al bese, so it's basically Italian beef tartare. Beef, salt, pepper, olive oil.
This is just steakception.
Steakception, yeah. Beef, beef Mark II, and then big beef.
Lovely.
You're welcome.
Cheers. This isn't even what we're here to talk about. No.
It's so beefy.
I don't think I've had steak tartare 2 different ways in the same meal. No.
It's a treat though.
It's a real treat.
With our stomachs already filling up and the starters done, it was time for the meat.
Ready?
Ready?
Yeah. Oh!
Now that is something.
I'm already seeing a difference.
Yeah, huge difference.
Rosemary. Right, what are we expecting? Because to the untrained eye, we've just got another massive steak.
Well, Persona beef is famed for its texture and tenderness, so it should be buttery and melting. Very rare how the Italians like it, and just pull apart with your fingers. Just the tip.
Oh, okay, buongiorno. That is very different from what we had at the Devon Shire. It's incredibly juicy. Like, there is so much liquid that comes out of the meat whilst you're eating it. I think it's got a little bit more of a chew. Definitely cooked a little bit rarer. But the flavour is astonishing.
So this is dry aged 9 weeks, not 8, not 10, 9 weeks. Incredibly lean, other than the fat on the outside, not much marbling. But you're right, so far the beefy funk coming off it is incredible.
Funk is a really great word for that. Like the aging funk that it's got to it. The crust on the outside is incredibly well defined.
Yep.
It has so much of it's been caramelised. So you get so much flavour coming from the crust as well as you do from the meat in the middle.
Maillard reaction, Jamie.
Maillard reaction.
Come on, we're professionals.
Ducks. Maillard reaction.
So for the same weight beef chop as the Devonshire, it's a much larger piece. It's a bit thinner, so it's just been charred heavily and then rested, rather than being cooked, put in a slow oven, then hot held. So it's a very different cooking process that really benefits this cut of meat.
I'm having such a good time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Salute.
Salute?
Salute.
Salute?
Cheers.
Cheers.
For our third and final stop, Cushy brought us to Barbican. We're in the shadow of Smithfield Meat Market, which is renowned for having some of the best meat in the world. And we're going to a restaurant called
Ibai. It's a Basque grill house serving Galician blonde ex-dairy cow steaks.
We've tried Galician ex-dairy cow steak before. I'm very excited for this.
Well, this restaurant's owned by the supplier of that beef, so it should be incredible.
And if it all gets a little bit too much, handy place next door.
Let's do it.
It's actually mesmerising. Watching the flames licking the steak.
Well, we'll be
Knowing
licking
that
it later.
we'll be licking it in a few minutes. Yeah.
It's a fantastic bit of beef, cooked over charcoal, basted with butter, beef fat, chicken fat, and confit garlic oil.
And secrets.
And secrets, yeah.
Really nicely, whilst we were here, they just found out that they had a review from the Telegraph, 5 stars.
That's an English newspaper, by the way.
Oh, all right.
Global audience.
Yeah, they know. You're still ordering starters.
Just one. A very light sandwich. The croque Ibai.
What's a croque and buy?
So it's bread, and sandwiched between that is boudin noir, black pudding, carabinero prawns, and a lovely local cheese. Not to here, to the Basque country.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salut.
Salud.
Oh my God. Why have we never had prawn and black pudding before? That is stonking.
And very light.
So are we ordering another kilo of steak?
So to keep it even, we'll go ribeye. We're looking for extreme depth of flavour. Tenderness and fat, but with that lovely bit of chew and texture that you get from a 12, 13-year-old animal.
I don't know how that description has just made me hungry again, but
More beef.
okay, the ribeye from Ibai, what are we expecting?
A bovine flavour that's been concentrated over the years, basted in beef fat, chicken fat, and confit garlic oil. They've gone through every single thing they can do to make this amazing. Some of the best beef in the world, so it should be the best beef in the country.
The stakes have been raised. Let's eat it.
Moo.
Oh, wow. That is the most steaky flavoured steak that I've had in ever. There is just something so different about the flavour of an ex-dairy cow. It just all comes together to the perfect bite of steak.
So a normal cow raised for beef, maybe up to 2-3 years old max. That's had a decade on that, growing and developing flavour and giving back with its dairy. Put out to pasture and treated as it should be.
Kush, after a day of eating the most incredible, probably London's 3 best steaks, we've ended up at Smithfield Meat Market.
Yeah, full circle. Where the beef's bought and we've eaten the beef.
It's been unbelievable. 3 incredibly different experiences. We started British. The whole vibe at the Devon Shire is my complete cup of tea. Guinness, steak, unbelievable scallops, absolutely incredible.
And then we tried some fantastic Fasona beef at Machalai ORC. Different breed, totally different muscle structure, different steak. A real contrast to British beef at Devonshire.
And then to finish off at Ibai with a Galician dairy cow aged steak was just a completely different experience and something that we've tried to recreate in the studio but have never had that good.
Having it there with the beef fat, chicken fat, and confit garlic oil drizzle over the top. Those chips, a little tomato salad.
This has been the best day of my life. The best day of my life. Comment down below, let us know, what did you think of those 3 steak places and what would you like to see Kush feed me next?
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Anything
Anything goes.